very good afternoon, everybody. Absolutely a pleasure and an honor to be here today with all of you, the very vibrant audience. As a lot of you might know, last night we shipped our very latest model, Opus 4.8, and this is the audience that we are speaking to for the first time, so we really feel thrilled. So with that, Kasakai Mumbai! Great to be here with all of you indeed. Now, I have been in this industry for over 3 decades, building enterprise software with customers and building it over a period of time, seeing how change, transformation, etc. is happening. But this moment is like nothing before. Why do I say so? This moment is being created because of developers like you, founders like you, who are kind of taking the realm of what the job is to the next level. The definition of the job itself has changed from what it was towards working. Now, when you sleep, there are agents who are doing the job. So in essence, the way things are getting created, it's not somebody who can type the fastest or know many lines or many ways of formatting being done better, but who can and has the ability of making these agents run and run deeper. Perhaps a year back, when anybody would have said that running an agent or doing something with an unsupervised way of having it run for a period of 1 hour, that would have looked a stretch. But now think about it. When you are sleeping, the agents are delivering, and that is continuing with the highest levels of trust, of security and things going on. And that is happening from India and the world. And let me take examples. Cred, for example, is creating software which is shipping twice as faster with 10% scaling on testing. We have engineers who are ensuring that when they are building products and when they are building these agents, these are working through the night, doing the work which requires a lot of grind. So when they come up the next day, these tasks which have been done by the agents are queued up and put across in the schedule, so they can then tackle the more hairier, the more tougher problem, whereas these agents have created things which are ready for them to have an oversight. With that, let me kind of also quickly talk about one is what is happening, and one is why could people still be standing on the fringes and thinking, am I doing the right thing in the most trusted manner? The part about it, the real bottleneck, is actually the trust. So if you want to ask yourself some of the questions, can I do the task? Can the software debug things for itself? Can I run a lot of pipeline without supervision? The answer to that in a lot of steady state environment will be a yes. But if you ask that can I do this with the highest level of trust, the part that you have to think about, that when you create things for a pilot, it really works. That's the capability. From pilot to taking it across to production is the trust. And when you have to create things with trust, you have to think of a few things. You have to think as to how the model will behave, how the model will be creating outcomes, which means how has the model been trained? And towards that, the training of the model, what we believe in, comes across with what we call a constitutional way. We give Claude a set of procedural guidelines. Think of it as a difference between giving somebody a manual to work in a way which is prescriptive versus giving somebody a set of judgments to discern for itself and to take the right decision. And the latter is what we believe in, and the latter is what we are working on, because we always think that in real life, the difference between knowing what you know versus knowing what you don't know, and hence having the judgment, is where things get brittle and things get broken. Hence, around constitutional AI, our principle has always been to ensure that Claude A is honest. Claude says things that it doesn't know. And the latest model of 4.8 actually has a much bigger amplification on this phenomenon, as we call it, honesty. Claude will be talking much faster, but will be saying much faster when it feels that there is an issue which it can't do, and it do things for anything which it thinks can be done. And between the last model and this model, we feel that there will be a 4x lesser probability of Claude for any level of code fallacies which can be going across, which is a much bigger step change. So that's the philosophy with which we come. We will have a lot of these things being shown across as to what has been launched across by Rishikesh in the demo that we'll be following. Now with that, how does the security part come across and start being real? So a month back, we launched Claude Security. It's been there in Opus 4.6, 4.7, and what you have right now. Now typically, when you look at any levels of security, the most provisional way that people look at it is that pattern matching. You match things towards what you think could be ways in which flaws can be detected, right? Now what Claude Security does, it ensures that it works like a researcher. It reads the codes. It goes across into various data flows. It looks for the most complex vulnerabilities which can be there, and it reports out. Ever since we did this launch about a month back, it's gone across to hundreds and thousands of developers and hundreds of organizations where they were able to put across these vulnerabilities which were not detected for a year. All that has to be done is point your code repository to Claude Code so that it can tell you where the vulnerabilities lie, and I'll really encourage all of you to adopt that. The other part is also the fact that we've also trained it in a way that the false positives are really low. We've encouraged it to challenge in a way that adversarial way of challenging the vulnerability comes out. So what is coming to you at the end of the day, A, meets the challenge, B, it also gives you a patch so that you have a remedy to what needs your urgent and critical attention. So that's the way Claude Security is kind of going across, because for us, capability and trust are two sides of the same coin, and we treat this as a fundamental way that models are created and the research that we do. With that, you would have heard about Code with Claude going across the world. We did one in San Francisco, we did one in London, and we really wanted to bring across all the learnings to this audience right here. And I'm sure you all must be already up and about in terms of adopting them. But some of these highlights are right here for you. So the first one that we have for you is outcomes. Outcomes is a way of telling the model, what do you want to see? What is the ultimate way that the results that you want to have is shown across to you? Now what happens because of that? Claude charts out its own path, it plans the way it has to deliver, it plans the execution mode, it also goes and course corrects itself, and you do not have to see the activity step by step towards how the completion is happening. You only have to see the outcomes on what you wanted it at the end of the day and what it is kind of delivering. The second one is towards self-hosted sandbox and MCP tunnels. We created agents, and the feedback we heard from a lot of our customers that you want to run the agents in a regulated environment so that the content, the information, your data does not go out. So we now have sandboxes in which you can put your agents, and with the MCP tunnels, it can go across to the agent and ensure that it's running in the most seamless manner. The third one, a big favorite of mine, is dreaming. Now a lot of us want to ensure that everything that we are building over a period of time, the agent learns for itself and becomes better. The model remains the same. How does it learn in a recursive way over a period of time? And we'll show that to you. And I really encourage once again people to learn this and put this across in any agentic work that you're doing. As an extension of this, we also put across the dynamic workflows. Dynamic workflows and multi-agent orchestration, the way we are kind of putting the agents together. Now think about a complex task. Say migration code modernizations. These have hundreds of thousands of legacy codes which are written. Now, the architecture allows parallel agents to be spun up, which are working for themselves, looking at recursive ways of seeing whether it's meeting an objective or not, and then coming back to see if an objective is met or not. And finally, we have routines, which is also a way that you can kind of check out if things are going across in an automated way, in a scheduled manner. Now, looking across at all these five and the ones that we've talked about today, they are different features at one end, but when you make all these parts as a sum of whole, that's when the agent which is coming to you in the most powerful manner ensures a few things. It's secure, it's reliable, it's doing auto-led way things that you wanted to do, and it's doing things in a scheduled manner. And that's possibly what all of you want, to ensure that you create efficiency for yourself on one side, and with that, you're able to drive innovation on the other. And finally, as I wrap up my part, I would just say the possibilities of what can be done by this audience out here is only governed by the fact that now you have agents kind of creating infinite possibilities and the reimagination that you can do. Think about it. When you put across things during the time that you're sleeping, these outcomes which are coming across, that are getting robust day by day. That gives you an ability to bring across fresh challenges, harder core problems that you can go across and attack. India itself, as a lot of you might know, is the second largest users of Claude.ai in the world. The audience out here use it for technical and developmental work, which is the highest in the world. Now, with that kind of a tech intensity, all that we would want to ensure is that we are creating things from India, for India and the global landscape, and bringing across possibilities which are not just new, but reaching the last mile, ensuring that we're serving the largest level of population out here, and making a test case and the pilot for the rest of the world. Thank you so much. Over to you.
All right. Thank you for that, Irina. So, good afternoon, everyone. I am Rishikesh Radhakrishnan, an applied AI architect at Anthropic India, and I'm going to talk about Mumbai, right? So, Mumbai is known by many phrases, popularly known as a city that never sleeps, and you've seen that, the trains, the double the cable, the desks that are on till 2 a.m., 3 a.m. trying to get their work done. That's one Mumbai. And also Mumbai known as a city of dreams, where you come as one, but probably leave as an entirely different person. And the rest of the session, I'm going to talk about a software that sits in both of these Mumbais at the same time. But I want you to keep that city of dreams in your back pocket. We'll come back to that to understand what that really means. So, quick show of hands, how many of you identify with either of them? So, if I say that, think about the city that never sleeps, how many of you identify with that? All right. How many of you identify with the other part, that's the city of dreams? Not really everyone. I was hoping that everybody is going to raise their hands. Right, but nonetheless, these are the two features, the two cliches, if you will, where you have on the left the city that never stops, that aligns with our managed agent. So think about, you have an agent that you want to build, deploy, don't have to worry about any of the infrastructure. You define the agent, hand it over to us, and we take care of running it. That's the cloud managed agents. We take care of running it, we take care of the entire infrastructure. So no more late nights, no more trying to restart a server that's shut down, all of that taken care of by us. Then, the second one, something that we launched recently, is the City of Dreams. It's in research preview. What it does is the agent reviews its own past sessions, updates in memory, and understand what works for your user, what works for your agent, what works for your system in general, and reviews it and keeps it ready for you. So think about this, an agent that does overnight work, and an agent that learns from doing. And here's what they look like in real life. Let's take a persona, a portfolio manager at a Mumbai equity fund, and no name, no face, because that's the whole point. We're not trying to identify the person, but trying to look at the most important part, that is the clock here. So they're going to come to their desk at 8 a.m. perhaps, and they've got a target of 9:15 when the market's open. They need to make a quick decision. They need to figure out what happened overnight in US, what news that's being generated which might impact their positions, what are the filings available for them, what has the desk analyst created for them, they got about 75 minutes in which they need to make a decision. Think about the 4 different streams that they have. Uh, Make a quick decision, that's the main part, like buy, sell, what they need to do. That's a lot of information. So how do they go about it? It's an extremely complicated thing. As you can see, 4 lines, right? Give this instruction to the agent. What do they really need to do? Look at the US market close, look at any new filings, look at any kind of analyst reports, any kind of desk notes that you have. Then the most important part is give me the briefing by the time I come to office or my desk, and finally, lead with what I need to act on. Don't give me general information, give me specifics about how soon I can do this or what I need to follow. So what does it do? The agent works. It actually does exactly what it was asked to do. So think about it. It scanned everything, summarized pretty much everything that's there, missed nothing. Give you a fantastic report. It's 9 pages, accurate, exhaustive, but unfortunately quite overwhelming. All of this information available for you to make a decision as to what you need to do. And quite frankly, the one call that the PM needs to take, the call on Maruti or any other stock that they are focused on, that's buried deep under page 6 or page 9, depending on how large the analysis is. And that's the problem. Likely the PM is going to ignore this, and that's potentially the first interaction with agents for most people. But then what happens? They don't do what most of us would do. They don't go about prompt engineering, fine-tuning, none of that. They just go about doing their work. They just let the agent do it. So they go back home and they go to sleep, and the agent then goes about running it. And this is how it goes about, right? So this is the first report that came in, which has got a lot of information. But then we have the dreaming that kicks in. It dreams, looks at your data, and understand what works for your end user. In this case, the portfolio manager. So every night it's picking up each particular report, looking at what works for them. That's the memory being created. Based on the memory, trying to understand what works for that portfolio manager. If something is not relevant, we start curating it. We're removing those irrelevant entries from there. And it's giving information, okay, this is the particular information that works for that portfolio manager. Keeps adding it night over night over night. So it understands what needs to be done, it understands what works, and keeps doing it again and again and again. So this is the result. From 9 pages to 2 pages, a very summarized, concise brief for the portfolio manager to take a decision. Exactly the call that's needed, and this is the difference there. From night 1 to night 21, where you started with 9 pages, a lot of information, all the way down to night 21, with 2 pages, and exactly the details you need. So this is the difference there. This is the kind of benefit you get there. I'll also go a bit deeper into what really happened here. Right? Looking at, you can think about these 5 lessons. The number one thing that the agent learned is that the portfolio manager doesn't make decisions based on currency movements, so they're ignoring that. The second one is they only look at 2 different sources. They don't look at everything that the analyst is providing. The third one, they tentatively don't go all the way down to the bottom of the page or bottom of the report. They stop at page 2 because it's exhaustive. And again, there are certain anomalies which they ignore, and they always check the source. So this is what's happening. The agent is improving on its own. And this is fundamentally different from how you guys think about how an agent should operate. You expect the agent to, or rather the model to get smarter, much more intelligent. That's the model that we have in our mind, right? But this is a bit different from that. Think about it, it actually got smaller without needing a bigger model, right? It's keeping notes on what's happening, and it's different from the fact that you expect Anthropic to have larger models, better models, and that's our job, we're doing it. In fact, we launched 4.8 last night, so applause for that. So you guys can go ahead and use those models as well. So the agent does a better job on its own data. It's improving day after day. Every night, the kind of job that it's running, it's getting the information, curating the data that's required to make the right information, and providing precise, concise insights for the portfolio manager. And this, the agent improving, it's at your desk on your work every night without having any kind of supervision. Now, this is the end result that we have. Night 21, as I said, 2 pages, same information, and this is the information that makes sense there. You're doing all the work for your agent. The agent is doing all the work, extracting the right information. So if you look at it, it's about 2 pages, takes about 4 minutes to read, and think about the time saving. The portfolio manager, now they can do the things that they are really interested in. They can focus on making the right call, reaching out to the trading desk, maybe have further conversations with the analysts. That's what makes a difference for them. So that's why you're saying 2 pages from the same model, and you're getting the right insights. the call that we need to make, that's bubbled up to the top. Provenance provided there, the kind of additional insights, if something that might be of interest for them, all of them provided over there. So that's again the difference there. And what you want to think about, nobody trained it. This is the whole transition from night 1 to night 21. There's no retraining, there's no fine-tuning, nothing. There's no prompt engineering, no harness state, nothing of that sort. You just provided the intent, the agent that you're doing, that the agent that what it needs to do, the instructions there, and the agent keeps refining it. So that's the benefit that you're getting here. The ability to use that, the city of dreams, right? The city of dreams is doing exactly what I called it before. You're arriving as one, but and exiting as someone altogether different, where becoming much more better, much improved version of its own with all the data that's available. Now, how many of you were concerned that this is going off on its own and you want some controls there? Quick show of hands. Right. And I presume that yes, you might be thinking on those lines, and that's precisely how it is. We do have the controls available there, you have the leash available for you, so when you get recommendations from the model, from the agent, you can actually decide which actually works for you. So the number one, the fact that they're actually going to use the PM desk analyst reports, that's acceptable. Then figuring out what mood and use that as an insight, that's also acceptable. But then apparently the model felt that the PM seems to ignore small cap information. But that apparently was not the case. The PM was actually on holiday, but the model caught that particular trend. But the PM knows what really is the truth and they can control that, ignore that recommendation. So that's the kind of control you're able to get there. It's not just about blindly believing it. It goes back to what Irina spoke about, the trust aspect of it. We believe that trust is gained, trust is earned. It's not a product feature. And this is precisely that, where with the help of this, you can trust how the model evolves, how it's able to use your data, your insights, your preference. And it becomes tuned to what you're doing without going through the entire process of fine-tuning, retraining, none of that. While, as I said, we do our job, we'll keep releasing models. This is something that you can use to make agents better for your data, for your scenario. Right? So now, that's fundamentally the entire premise, the dreaming and how it plays with the cloud managed agents. But I'm going to take a few minutes to just walk you through how you can achieve it today, how you can go about it. So this is the entire mental model. You have a session, which is the interface or the conversation thread between the user and an agent. It's ephemeral by design, short-lived. It's not intended to keep running forever. That's the whole managed agent part, right? Then you have the memory store. That's the whole persistence. You have a workspace store-based, file-based store. It's mounted into each session at that location that's mentioned here. And it has access to the necessary tools, the typical tools available for the agent. And finally, the badge, the release preview badge job, that's a dreaming one, looks at the information, reads all the notes, curates itself. Of course, you can interface and manage that as well. And that's where you get a new store for your review. So this is fundamentally what it's all about. Think about how simple this is, as opposed to creating your agent harness, figuring out where to run, figuring out all the IT operational aspects that you would otherwise need to do. Because then your whole agentic approach is no longer just an agentic approach, you're also trying to deal with the IT problems that come along with that. This handles all of it for you. Now, just to give an example, these are some of the commands that you can use. The CLI command, of course. It's simple, give the agent a memory store. This assumes that you created an agent and you create a memory store and attach it to the agent. These are all the CLI options that are there. Of course, doesn't mean it's only CLI. You can absolutely use the UX, the console that's available on our platform, and use that to configure this. So fundamentally, you're creating a store, you're getting the stored ID, the session details, and attaching it to your session. So the first part, the ephemeral part, and the store where you can process the data. Then you're running a dream over those transcripts. This is the research preview badge job, which is going to look at your past information, extract the data, and create a new memory store. This is the part where the dreaming happens, right? You're looking at all of your sessions, how the agent interacted, and all the things that you did with the agent and your data stores. Now, this is the part where it becomes real. This is the part where you swap out the existing memory store and give them the dream part, the part where you learned all of that and attach it to your session. And this is the part where the session, when it starts, it's able to access information which was not available for it before. The curations, the information about what happened, your preferences, all of that available in the memory store that was created before. This is where the agent learns what needs to be done, what works for you, what your preferences are. Going back to the product, the portfolio manager, their preference for FX moves, their preference for small caps, the fact that they went on a vacation and there was a recommendation and they ignored it. All of that captured, and this session, when it started, did not know anything. But the fact that the memory was available for it, with the fact that we were dreaming before and gave us that memory, that gets attached to the session, and you're now able to get a much more intelligent, more relevant, more powerful agent for your specific needs, your business, and your situation. So, if you take one thing back today, try this in your own environment on our platform. Assuming you create an agent, or it's pretty simple to create an agent, go ahead and create a memory store, attach it to agents, then run dreaming over your last sessions. You don't have to wait for like 21 nights. You can just go through your data, try it out, and see the kind of output you get. And then swap out the store into the next session. And you'll see how beautifully it renders, gives you the information, gives you the kind of insights that's very specific to what you're working on. So, that's pretty much it. The city that never sleeps. So that's the agent that does the overnight work. The city of dreams, that agent that makes it better than it went to bed. And put all of them together, the morning brief isn't the only thing that gets better, sharper. It's also the agent that gets sharper every night while writing it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you once again. Pleasure once again to be here with all of you. Thank you, Harsh, and the entire MTW team. Pleasure and honor. We've been at Anthropic in India for the last few months. Looking forward to building together with all of you. Thank you.